everyone. Welcome back to the next episode of the Beach Court Podcast. We're really excited to be able to actually talk about some regional championship results this week. There was a regional in Birmingham and in Rio this weekend. And congratulations go out to Irvin and Fabrizio, also a big friend of the podcast. I'm excited to see both of those players take it down on their respective tournaments. We got a big agenda for you today. We're going to, of course, review Birmingham and Rio results. We'll kind of breeze through them a little bit, but we do want to dive
breeze through them.
We'll breeze through them. We want to dive right back into Crispin'S Corner. It's the segment we previously did where we will select two random lists that didn't make day two and just see who would win. We would talk about, in theory, who we think would win and who cooked more. Of course, we'll have our favorite segment of the day, trivia. I'll try to stump the boys again this week. And then lastly, we got to get into some discussion about San Antonio. That's what everyone's here for. The North American Regional Championships are back in full swing this week in San Antonio, Texas. And of course, it's the home of the Alamo. So we have a cool segment called Battle at the Alamo, where we're going to choose the top 3 most popular decks and then try to find out a team of 2 decks that we think could beat those 3. Anyways, my name's Eric Ridgway. I'm joined as always by Maddox Corcoran and Parker Greenwald. Boys, how was your weekend? What'd you do this weekend?
Weekend was good. Yeah, I mean, for me, weekend was low key. Didn't have too much in-person Pokemon, but did get a fair share of playing some TCG Live on my phone with the some of the new cards that came out. I was itchy pollinating a lot of folks today and this past weekend. Had a nice weekend with family. I was able to hang out with them and get away a little bit, and now locking back in for San Antonio.
Okay. How about you, Parker?
I went to a little like anime day marketplace kind of thing.
Nice.
We couldn't stay for a while because I had to work, but other than that, I just worked the whole weekend.
How was it at the shop this weekend with the release of Prismatic Evolutions?
That actually wasn't that bad. It was just like we had 5 things going on Saturday, and then Sunday it was like we had a big Lorcana event that was 6 rounds. I was there for almost 11 hours.
Nice.
Did you
I
get
think like best of 3, like hour and a half rounds or something?
You did best of 2, right? Lorcana?
So you have the option to run best of 3 or best of 2, but most people prefer best of 3. And so that's just how we ran it. It was best of 3. So it's 55 minutes. And then, top cut is 70 minutes. And then finals is untimed, but thank God they just were like, I don't really care who gets the champion mat. We'll just split. It's like, okay.
They didn't care? Who got the... So wait, how'd they decide who got the mat?
So there's a champion mat, and then there's the exact same mat, but without champion on it for the second place person.
Yeah.
So
what was their decision criteria? I'm very curious now. Sorry, I'm down the rabbit hole.
No, you're good. One of the players was just like, "You got it, man. I'm just conceding."
Bet.
Just like, okay.
It's like I gotta go home.
Yeah.
Tournaments do be like that sometimes.
It
it's
do
like
be
you know.
like that.
I remember it was like at a League Cup, it's like 9 o'clock, and it's like, you're heading in the finals. Like, hey, we're doing this. He's like, yeah, man, I want the medal. Like, all right, hey, we gotta do what we gotta do. Like,
I still remember to this day the tournament I went to in States Pro where it was like super late, and a lady I hit, like the Gardevoir lady, I was playing like Mew Hammers. We went to a game 3, and she's shuffle mulligan. Phone's ringing, friends outside waiting to pick her up. Shuffle mulligan. She's like, if I mulligan one more time, I'm conceding. Shuffle mulligan, concedes, leaves. Game 3 of a League Cup final. Just because like her friends were calling her and she's like, all right, I gotta go.
Hey.
Pokeduels approved concession though.
Yeah, Pokeduels approved concession, yes. Anyways, so my weekend I took a quick mini honeymoon over to Panama City Beach. It was a little cold, but we had a good time. The weather was nice on Sunday. It did rain on Saturday a little bit, but we got some nice kind of like hang by the beach time, explored Panama City a little bit. There was like a little golf world place, like a
nice,
kind of like a glorified zoo. But that was a lot of fun. Had a dolphin show, stuff like that. It was cute. It was good.
Yeah, Panhandle has some nice spots there, so glad you made it out.
We had a good time. Anyways, back to the grind today. Got on the online tournament, got immediately 0-3 dropped. In the Badoo format.
Hey, we got time before Meridia. We're okay. Don't worry about it. Focus on San Ann.
Parker, you were working all weekend. Maddox, I assume you were kind of grinding on TCG Live while you were with family and friends, or?
I was playing several games on my phone. Again, I picked up a couple lists that I liked and just saw some Dragapult Dusknoir and was just
Okay.
running through them. I had a 15 game win streak with one of the Dragapult lists at one point, so that was pretty cool. And then I lost two, and then I was like, I'm gonna play a different deck now. So,
Early impressions on Badoo format. Is it like game changing?
I mean, definitely game changing. I think like it's hard to say early. Like right now, a lot of decks like just have to like play different because Badoo exists.
Yeah.
But like you only care about Badoo if your opponent really has Badoo. So like if we enter a world where people aren't playing Badoo, then you just play decks normally, kind of like they are in this current format.
Kind of like Kieran with Lost Box, right? Like if you're not playing Kieran, like I'm just gonna play Lost Box.
Yeah, it's like
right?
Regidrago's around, so like Lost Box is tough. But then it's like if you walk into a room and no one's playing Regidrago, then it's like okay, well no one's playing Kieran, I can play Lost Box and be fine. If you walk into a room and no one's playing Badoo, then like you may be fine. I don't know.
Anyways, let's jump over to the results of the regional championships this weekend. Let's touch on Birmingham, UK first. Congratulations go out to Irvin on his win with Charizard Pidgeot. Took down 3 Palkia decks in top 8. Palkia took Birmingham by storm. It's a deck that we've previously kind of seen do well, but Palkia knocked out kind of like, and if you look at the results, you've got one Regidrago in top 8, and he only faced one Palkia all weekend, lost to it in top 4, right? And then if you look down, like the next closest Drago in the 8th, lost in the mirror, right? This Drago overall did not have like that well of a tournament that it kind of usually does, right? Where it's like 3 to 4 Dragos in top cut. Do we think we can attribute that to like people just like really try to counter Drago as hard as you can every tournament, or what are your impressions on this tournament's results?
Yeah, I think the whole thing behind Palkia's resurgence was like when people thought about it, like, hey, this actually, has a pretty decent Drago matchup, getting granted that you just like boom, 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 just slam the two
Yeah,
prizers with Palkia, you're wailing on them turn 2 while they're still, like 200 sprinkle some damage here. But I don't know, yeah, like the resurgence of, or not resurgence, but like I guess the wave of Archaludons too. I'm not saying it auto wins the matchup or anything, but it is, like we mentioned before, one of those decks that could have a good shot against Drago.
yeah,
Popped up in huge numbers this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of strong players playing Drago, right? I'm not really surprised that the highest placing Drago from the weekend was Brent Tonneson, right?
Yeah,
He's an extremely proficient Drago player, and has been playing at the highest level for a long, long time. But when you look at the rest of it, there are other folks that were doing well with the list, other top players in both regions, right? Even Pedro Petrucci and his crew, brought a Drago list that saw success over in Rio. I think it's maybe just an increase in some of those tougher matchups. Right, we're saying the Palkia is a trickier matchup. Terapagos came back a little bit as well, a little bit trickier matchup. More Archaludon. I think just some of those decks at the top that are just giving some Dragos some trouble. Again, it's never going to stop a few from sneaking through. But when it comes down to it, when Dragos have a harder time if you're not playing it perfectly, then it's going to be harder to have that big finish. Yeah, interesting to see. I think the big notes for me is like Palkia Noctowl coming back in very, very strong force, as well as Terapagos also seeing a decent resurgence.
yeah, yeah. And we saw like the reason for Charizard's success was because of Palkia's success, as well as like the other decks that are keeping down Drago a little bit, right? Because that's Charizard's worst matchup. And like we saw 3 Charizards in the top 12, in top cut. I think it was 10 or 11 person. I think it was 10. I think it was
both of them started as
Both
top
of
10
them
cuts.
10, yeah.
10, yeah, 10 person cut at 30 points. Yeah, so I mean, just kind of cool to see Charizard, trying to struggle its way through. It seems like I think as of now, and we'll get to the discussion later, but it just seems like Charizard and Drago have kind of cemented themselves as like the top 2 decks of this format. And it's like, okay, Drago beats the other deck, right? But then Charizard beats everything else that's trying to beat it. So it's a weird it's a weird dynamic that we have here at the top, and we'll talk about that later as we get towards the Battle of Alamo. But before we move on to talk about the Rio results, are there anything else you guys wanted to call out or talk about related to regionals at Birmingham?
Not really. I think we mostly covered it.
Yeah,
So
there's a wide assortment of decks that are successful. Right, I don't think we're going to see 3 Palkia in top 8 again, and then see Palkia win a regional again for San Antonio. But the decks around, 2 Iron Thorns in top 8 of Rio, I think is interesting. And I kind of other things. Shout out to Sander, who has the newest Pidgeot control piles. So any Sander enjoyers, keep an eye out for that, or at least check out his page, see what some of those cards do. If your opponent, benches a Feebas, or if you see
Palos, right?
Paldean Tauros,
yeah,
maybe double check that card, see what it does, just so you're a little bit ahead of the game for some of those. But I mean again, continuing to see innovation, continuing to see the meta shift, and a lot of new lists to consider ahead of this weekend for San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that kind of stood out to me is if you look at the top 6 meta decks of day 2. And we can just spend 2 seconds on this in a moment, but the 37 Archaludons in day 2, 10% of Archaludons. And Guardy made the page at number 4, Lugia, Cloth, kind of round out the top 6 there after Drago and Zard. But there's just there's some decks that are just starting to make a name for itself, even in this format. Ethan Wild kind of took it, had a master class, and now Archaludon's just kind of popping up everywhere, right?
Yeah, a group had a pretty strong showing within Birmingham, and as well even Giovanni Sasso, who had run in try to little acquire since LAIC, but he even brought Archaludon and got a top 32 in Rio with it. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of the top players starting to recognize this deck more, and I think it's probably the biggest thing that I see. It's one thing when you have that person at locals saying, "Oh, hey, I got this cracked Archaludon list," but when you start to see some of the top players and groups, really starting to respect this deck and play it some more, it really puts a lot more global eyes on it.
Right.
So then, I think going into San Antonio, right, Archaludon is probably a deck to watch out for.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little more towards the end. Something we didn't touch on. This is the largest regional ever in Europe. Had 2,018 players, which is their largest ever.
That's right below the number.
So it's right below the number of the extra round, and so because of that, 521 was good enough to make day 2, and we saw 360 players make day 2.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of players. And quick pokey data check, top 256 in order to actually get some more points. Quick check, it's loading.
That is a lot of people. I just got to say.
That's a lot. 256 was Bubble at 21 points. So if you came in at 15 points, you had to get two wins.
Yeah.
If you came in at, you come in at 16, right?
Yeah, you come in at 16.
Yeah, so two wins or something along those lines. But yeah, 21 points. Looks like a couple people bubbled out. But yeah, it's just tough out here, man. I mean, what was a 32 bubble for this? 32 bubble, 27 points. You had
9 wins.
You had 2 people bubble in at 27, and 28 was saved.
What's good is that everyone else X2 was able to play.
Yeah.
For cut, which is good.
Wait, no.
Yes.
There's a 9-3 at 27 points. 34.
Yeah, 9-3 is an X2. So.
Well, yeah, but
I'm saying to play in the cut, right? I mean, we saw in Louisville that because the numbers were so awkward people that are X2 missed asymmetrical cut. That wasn't quite the case here.
Yeah, I mean, Kieran Rowe had a winning in the top cut, lost to the eventual champ, Irvind, and missed top 32.
Oof.
Hopefully Irvind slides him a few bucks to say thanks for the win. Also to know, I mean, Irvind had to play an asim cut as well.
Yeah.
And was able to win that round. And then what the?
I think Irvin didn't. Here, hold on. I got it right
actually, well, okay, I'm just seeing this now, but apparently Irvin's round 13 opponent that would have been the ASIM round was DQ'd.
What?
That's what it says on Pokedata. I don't have all the stats, and I don't think we have time to dig into it now, but something to maybe look into later. So, but anyways, lots of people. Again, I'm really excited for the region. Again, Europe has had so much success. Their events have regularly capped, and a lot of people in Minnesota not being able to going. So, if you don't have an event that was this huge, over 2,000 masters, really cool to see. And just tells you how big EUIC is going to be, and really just a hopeful future for more and more massive European regionals.
Yeah, so you are right. That was awesome. Let's talk about Rio. So while Palkia did lose in the finals in Birmingham, in Rio, that was not the case. Fabrizio Inga Silva, known Mew lover. Maddox is a big fan of Mew lovers. Took down yet another tournament this season. This is his second regional win. And he's been on a tear. And this time he did it with Palkia Noctowl. Like Max said earlier, there was 2 Quad Thorns in top 8 over there. Palkia is a deck that can kind of do well into that, even though they can KO for weakness. But it's a Cloth, couple Zard, couple Drago, bunch of normal stuff here. We do have an Ancient Box in 9th place. I think this is the one player that's been playing, like, grinding out line so hard, Mateus. Yeah, pretty normal results over here. Goldingo in 12th place. What are you thinking about Rio results?
Like we mentioned before, they love Iron Thorns down there.
Yeah.
And 2 of them making top 8, like, honestly, I don't know if you'd see it in another, like a US regional, but down there, they love their Iron Thorns.
Does it surprise you? Or, I mean, not really.
Not particularly.
Because of Cloth being around, it's kind of a scary deck to play, honestly.
Yeah, but like sometimes Cloth, just doesn't open ways to get around the Roblox lock.
Yeah, you can't squawk. You can't do things like that.
Can't squawk. Can't Harangaroo. Yeah,
true. There's some big things there.
You have to note that our world champion Fernando Cifuentes was at Rio and did not play Iron Thorns. What? Instead, chose to play Stall. Snorlax Stall.
Bro.
Oh, wow.
He didn't have a great finish, but he make day 2 with it. I think other things to note, again, Pedro Bertrucci had played the same list as several other REGIDRAGO players. They all did pretty well within that. And also, Vinny Fernandez, another player, kind of is always on everyone's radar. I think, lost an ASIM with Gardevoir. Really kind of the only Gardevoir. There wasn't too much Gardevoir around. There was a couple that kind of stuck in the top 16, and then a pair of Gardevoirs losing in ASIM cut in both regionals.
We lost to Pedro, actually, which I was like, dang.
Oh, really?
Because, it's, definitely 2 of the, best players there had to play.
But yeah, again, tricky to see. But again, I don't often see Latin America regionals affecting North American regionals that much. Typically, just the player base is a little bit more keen on the European ones. So I don't necessarily think we're going to see a rise of Iron Thorns. But if you're sleeping up Lugia, I guess just be aware of it. Hey, you got 2nd place in Rio. 2 top 8s in Rio, so something to keep an eye on.
And Dragapult's playing Thorns too, right? You might as well throw a Fluttermane in your deck, right? If you're playing Lugia, you throw the Fluttermane in your deck.
Nah, I mean, honestly, just go take Kieran's masterclass and play whatever 60 he's playing, because he's got it figured out. And if you're playing, if for any true Lugia heads out there,
sure,
Lugia.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for our regional discussion this weekend. We'll touch more on this kind of format later once we get to the battle at the Alamo. But we do want to get to Crispin'S Corner. We had a lot of fun with this episode, this kind of segment last time, where Max will lead us through and choose 2 decks at random, and Parker and I will decide who we think will win that matchup and who clicked more.
Exactly.
Max, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so right now we switched over and we're sharing our screen now, really just looking at the live rosters from Arcanine, which is really cool feature they've added in the past couple of regionals, where they started publishing the lists to every single list in the tournament from Arcanine. So what we're doing this way, since there's 2 regionals this past weekend, we're pairing up a Birmingham list against a Rio list. So we'll get some random numbers generated and see where we go from there. So we have SO for Birmingham versus AE for Rio. Let's see who we get. Again, we're just going to go and search and then use the search feature, try to narrow it down a little bit. And then here we go. We'll try to go to first name. So we have a Sophia.
What does it show your finish place? So it's way on the right.
It does 414th.
Okay, that's good. Just
and
barely
then
missing day 2, like just barely.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Probably 5-3.
Raphael.
Okay, Raphael. So we got Sophia versus Raphael.
So let's see what we got here. And also what's great about this is we can see the art, so we can really comment on everyone's choices here. So okay, so not quite a matchup you'd see every day, but we do have so Raphael opting for a true Dragon Ball Dusknoir. Again, Liz has seen some success before. Included the Briar versus was on the side we had Sophia playing Cloth Terapagos.
With the Spirit Tomb.
Yeah, Spirit Tomb is quite the call. I mean, again, knowing your deck really needs a Rangaroo V. There's one card we can't see from the Hisui Electrode. Hisui Electrode.
You've got your own Lumineon in there and a Rangaroo, and if you open Spirit Tomb, you can't use either of those.
But I think in some cases, I mean, maybe you're just trying to say once you get your Rangaroo V out, you do want bench sitters, kind of in the same way. I think I'm surprised they're not playing the Genesect if they're favoring bench sitters that are disruptive.
Right.
At least here you don't need the tools. I'm checking for anything else of note.
Well, they play the Drago that Parker loves.
Yeah, the baby REGIDRAGO to get some extra draw power. Also chose for Colress's Tenacity. A little bit more consistency to finding Stadium and Energy.
2 Ionos.
Yeah, 2 Ionos. Actually, the supporter count's a little more spread. High. Actually, I guess 3 Arven, 3 Boss. Yeah, that's even down in consistency a little bit, but the double Iono plus the Research and Carmine combo's pretty solid.
The 1 Jet.
Yeah, the 1 Jet just gave you a little extra mobility plus the 2 switch cards
for the Ursulina, right? Usually,
I guess so. Yeah, most likely, or just against blacks or something.
And when you play the Energy Lotto and the Colress's Tenacity, it's easier to find the Jet for when it's most relevant type of thing.
You cut Petra EX, which is a decision I can get behind.
Well, you got the Jet, you got switch cards, you got Latias, so yeah. So some bold calls from Sophia. I think the Spirit Tomb is a very, very spicy. Classic arts here did opt for the promo Petron, so quick shout out to that. And then let's see, and then looking on the right for Dusknoir.
What's the card he's missing?
Yes, yeah, so this is
promo Lumineon.
So a Dragon Ball Dusknoir. Actually, I just realized this now, but a rare candy build. Heavy into rare candies. Only 2 Dracloaks and 4 rare candies.
Yeah, this is a Pidgeot build. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pidgeot. Yeah,
Pidgeot build. Dragon Ball. Yeah, Dragon. So it's actually kind of built like Zard.
Yeah, it's essentially a Zard deck. Yeah, but with Dragon Balls. Yeah,
202 Pidgeot plus the 4/2/3 Dragapult.
It's got the 1 Lance and the 1 Crispin, which I really like the Crispin index like this because I've always hated relying on just a crystal to and if that crystal gets vacuumed or if that Pokemon goes down against Raging Bolt, then you're really hurting that next turn. So I really like the Crispin inclusion to be able to quick search for that or even Lumineon for that. That way they can have an attacker quickly. So I really like that card. Yeah, I mean these lists are pretty interesting. We're gonna see Dragon Ball Dusknoir come back with a vengeance probably next format. But it's interesting to see they did pretty well with that. I think they're top 400 or something like that with this list. So
I think good. Just Raphael with 1,000, Sophia with 400.
Okay. Oh, sure, it was flip flop. Sorry.
Yes,
anyways,
I think the jamming tower in the dusk in the list. Again, you have the Pidgeots. You're pretty have ways to get around it, but seems like it could be destructive if you're trying the Sparkling Crystal synergy. You're probably saving that jamming tower for late. Maybe help into a Bolt matchup or something like that.
A Bolt or something. Yeah, I really like the fact of if you put these 2 decks against each other, I think the Spirit Team's gonna have a really big impact in the matchup.
Do work.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna work.
But he's also 60 health.
Yeah.
True. I don't know. Who do we think traditionally wins this matchup? Is it kind of a coin flip of who goes second? And that's.
I think personally Dragapult just in theory has the edge, because it's going to be able to put a lot. I mean, like just the spread damage and getting a 320 is impossible for Terrapagos Cloth in its current build. I mean, like now you do have a little bit of a liability with the Pidgeot. You know, Terrapagos can go and KO that Pidgeot. But I think between like the Dusknoir package plus Pidgeot plus being able to like quickly rare candy out Dragapult, probably slight advantage to Dragapult. Unless like, you know, if you're able to go and put poison pressure on early plus get Tomb down and like really disrupt, you know, the Rotom and Lumineon, then I do think that can be a big swing factor.
So can't the Terrapagos KO the Dragapult coming back into the Terrapagos' turn?
So if
can.
Dragapult goes and KOs, then you can push Pecharunt.
Yeah,
well, even then, you don't have to push Pecharunt, right? Like,
yeah, it'll take 3 because it'll take 290, and then you'll be able to retreat.
Take 3 more, yeah.
But I think with like the Briar plus Dusknoir, I think there's enough ways for like Dragapult to give this trouble
to the Dragapult player, I think.
But Sophia was one of the stronger finish. So
Max, what do you think? Not Max. Sorry, Parker. Do you think Cloth can win this?
Yeah, I like what Max was saying. Like, if you take, you know, knockout going first with Pecharunt, and then like even without Spiritomb, like that means like if they Dusknoir you, you're back on even prizes, and then like, you know, it's I think it's doable, but
who you picking?
Yeah, I think out of 10 games or out of 11 games, Dragapult probably takes 7 of them.
Yeah. All right, Dragapult wins this one. Let's go to the next one.
And next up, we have CJ versus KG. So let's see what
CJ.
CJ?
Oh, we got one right away. And then what was the other one? KC?
KG?
Oh, KG.
KG. Kilograms.
Kilograms? No matches, bro.
We'll go KH. Here we go.
All right. Christian?
We have Christian from Colombia. 956th place. List is Lost Box.
Lost Box, yeah.
I hope this is
versus Faction Sass from Poland.
Please don't be Drago.
Birmingham.
No Drago.
Is
Guardy.
Okay. The old classic matchup.
This is an old classic matchup. Wow.
Yeah. First off, for Christian, if anyone knows Christian, hook him up with a couple extra Compies so you can get the matching arts. Right? He's got the nice Crown Zenith one. He has one of them. Got it from a friend. Like, hook him up with the rest if you know him.
He's got the right Colruses though.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are pretty nice.
Those are the best. Those are like optimal Colrus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also in the Lost Box, opted for the full suite of 5 energy, right? So you have your 1 Psychic Energy, 3 Waters for Radiant Greninja, plus the 2 Metal, 2 Grass, and 2 Lightning for Pikachu EX, plus Iron Hands as an option as well. Seems like a pretty standard list. Oh, actually, I was going to say pretty standard, but only 1 Pokestop.
1 Pokestop, but 2 Manaphy's.
There we go. There's the Drago. I didn't even see that. Yeah, that helps Drago. You run the
actually
double Manaphy.
If he's just popping for both Manaphy's, yes sir, yes sir.
The shout out to Andrew Hedrick in the Ace Spec one of Pokegear.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the one rescue board, 1 Pokestop, but 2 vacuum. So making sure you can find those options early, but still not quite having a...
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find the thing to vacuum away, right? Like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, you can probably get to the vacuum consistently, but, like, getting to the board without milling it, like, that's the hard part, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then for Gardevoir on the left here, you know, seems like a fairly standard build. I mean, it's a little heavier count. Double Monkey and 2 Darks, plus a 3 Vessel. I think this might be an old Henry Chow list. I'd have to run through it. He's made a few different iterations, including the Moonlit Hill and the Artisan, and then also still has the Klefki, Manaphy, plus the Mawile, so plenty of options there.
Klefki?
Klefki, no Fluttermane though. So in this particular matchup of Guardy versus Lost Box, we don't have
card's
Klefki
big,
to go into, but no.
Yeah, but all it takes for Gardevoir to beat Lost Box is just slowing them down 2 turns.
Yeah, the tricky part is like with the Klefki, like your Manaphy can't ever be can't really help if you have Greninja.
Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely a close one for me. I mean, the Klefki's there, abusing all the switch cards. If Mawile's there, I mean, there's some definitely interesting things. You got the Moonlight Hill. I don't know. I think I'm gonna give the edge to Gardevoir here.
I too will have to give the edge to Gardevoir. I'll say that it's maybe a little bit closer because Flutter Mane is actually huge in the Lost Box. It's like
Yeah.
the card you want in the active
Right.
because you kill a Clef or you kill a Comfy, and like if you have a Clef Key active, like you're not doing anything, and they can like
Yeah.
chorus and vacuum their way into a ninja attack. They can kill two Curlias even if you have Manaphy on the bench. If you have Clef Key active, so it's like
Yeah.
so no Flutter. I mean that helps the matchup a lot, but it's I think it's just a little Guardy favored. Unfair stamp. It's just like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we had maybe a few more Pokestops to make it easier to find the vacuums
Right.
and
Right.
like to turbo through, then I think maybe Lost Box is a little better of an edge because, if you're able to find Prime Catcher early and then get the Klefki out of the active and then just set up and go throw an Iron Hands in the active, right? I mean, this is a very slow Guardy build that
Yep.
they have chosen, and it's gonna be tough to get around that. But probably for that. But if we get to a late game or if Klefki's prize, I think it gets flipped on its head. But for now, I guess gotta give it to Guardy here. Even though but only just because actually no, I'm a Lost Box believer. Listen, you
Bro.
can't beat Drago, but if you're not playing against Drago, you have a chance. They never got Klefki. You get Prime Catcher early. You just set up. You go Greninja. Run them out the room.
Bold pick, I think, especially with the only one stop. But
No,
yeah,
they get it every time. Don't worry about it.
that's true.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Eric?
Oh, I think I've already said Guardy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you thought you were gonna
No,
just
Guardy.
say you're wrong.
No,
He had
no,
a
Guardy.
profound look that you too can see if you go to youtube.com/BeachCourt Podcast.
And press subscribe.
Is that even the URL?
I don't know.
YouTube, Beach Court.
I'm trying to
We should
figure
know
out.
this stuff.
I'm trying to figure out the T. I'm trying to figure out the T, man.
The T.
Yeah, I want the T.
Well, we don't need the T.
I can't
We do
find
another.
the T.
We do
but
another list.
I want the T.
Anyone who doesn't understand what Eric is referring to, he's referring to the DQ of
Yeah.
the opponent in
Yeah.
Birmingham. If you know, let us know in the comments below so we can get back to the episode.
All right, Guardy wins. Move on. Let's go.
We do another one.
Right.
Yeah, let's do a couple more. We got time.
EC versus USA.
U.S.
USA.
None of these were in USA, so we can't even say that. All right, so we have
Yep.
Nico
Nico. All right. From DE, is that
Versus-
Denmark, probably?
Denmark.
This is not Vinny. This is a
A
different
different
Vinny.
Vinny.
Vinicius.
It's definitely not how you say it. but
That's
we'll
not
get
it.
it. So on the left we have Dragapult Iron Thorns. Deck
What
that
is that
Eric's been enjoying
fighting?
lately.
Oh,
Versus whoa,
Oh,
whoa,
God.
whoa, whoa, wall deck.
what in?
We have hold up. Okay, just need a second. For anyone who's not on YouTube for whatever reason, this other Vinny has a very, very cooked up wall list where we see
What
a
is
3/3
going on
Melodic
here?
EX line, 2 Cornerstone EX, 2 Terapagos EX, a Mimikyu, plus the Diancie.
What's the Diancie even for?
You can't
It
gust
just-
around.
your
You can't
opponent's
gust around
basic.
it.
You can't gust the basic.
Well, you
gust
can't
basics.
use boss. You can't use boss
Yeah,
to.
you can't boss basics, but like you
This
can
is
boss
Diancie.
evolutions.
What is Diancie from Astral Radiance? With
Astral
Princess's
Radiance.
Curtain. As long as Pokemon in the active saw whenever your opponent places a supporter card from their hand, prevent all effects done to your bench basic Pokemon.
So are they just trying to like get into Diancie and then turbo energize and
And
not
then
get
tur-
bossed?
I
Is
think they're probably trying to go Diancie and then power up Pagos or power up Cornerstone or power up whichever one you need for the matchup.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
true.
I guess
Or
this is a
Crispin.
solid. That is a solid wall setup because your walls you do need to set up. In this case, I think they're using Terapagos as well. And first off, right, Vinicius here using the cool promo Terapagos EX. I think this is from the Terapagos like premium collection.
The UPC, yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to them.
Wait,
But I mean,
can we
this
look
seems
at
like
the
this is
energies
like
here?
this is like a Crown Opal deck, right? I mean, the plan is to
It
attack with
is.
Crown Opal. You play
Yeah.
the Sparkling Crystal, you attack for 1 less, and you play Crispin. So I mean, you can power up a Terapagos EX to attack in just 1 turn.
What's
Yeah.
the what's the therapeutic energy doing for? Or what's this for?
I guess stop cloth. I mean, because I guess like into the cloth matchup, Terapagos right
Oh, they get his
probably
poison,
prevents
yeah.
damage. They get poison
his
it eventually,
poison.
but you
Okay,
that's therapeutic.
okay.
You have to add therapeutic and heal the poison. Man,
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
sleeving this deck up for
this is
locals.
cooking,
You've
and I
been
like it.
warned.
Louis Rescue Board, right? I mean, this is really just leaning into like you're gonna go Arvin for like
Arvin or Crispin.
yeah, Arvin or Crispin, and then just get Diancie into the active. Everything's one retreat, I think.
And if you need to attack with
Turbo
Melodic,
suit.
you just go Turbo Energize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
You get the Diancie in the active, can't gust around it. Plus, it has spike draw if you need to. They don't play Rotom or anything. This
Okay.
is cooking.
All right, we're cooking.
Cooking.
I like it.
This is actually cooking.
All right, and then
That is what Crispin's Corner is about.
That is Crispin's deck, and
I'm
Crispin was
calling this
cooking.
the official Crispin's Corner deck of the week. This one right here. I think clear to say. But on the left, right, we have a known competitor, the Dragapult Iron Thorns. Leaning heavy into 4/4/2 Dragapult, 4 Iron Thorns, plus the 1/1 Toad School, and has the 1 of Klefki. Just give a few extra
Only
options.
beating Melodic is the problem.
Well, isn't this
Thorns?
This is Terra. You can
But,
you can
yeah,
Iron
you can
Thorns
use
through the
Thorns.
Melodic.
Oh, Thorns. Okay. Okay, so we're probably beating this deck.
Is Iron Thorns Dragapult the perfect counter for this wall deck? Because if they go Ogrepon, if they go Cornerstone
Like-
Ogrepon, you can go Dragapult. If they go Melodic, you can go Iron Thorns. If they go Terapagos, you can go Dragapult. If they go Mimikyu?
Mimikyu is the only thing.
They,
but
they
you
can
have to-
go. They go Jercloak.
or Red
Radiant
Alakazam.
Alakazam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Good.
Yeah, I think this is just like the perfect counter.
The perfect
That's so
counter.
unfortunate. Because if there was no Iron Thorns, it was just Dragapult. Like, I mean, you can't Dracloak through a Melodic. Like, it would just be putting on too much attacking pressure. But because the Iron Thorns, man, unfortunate.
Dang.
No, on our hero deck on the right, we do have the nice Tropicos arc. We do have the fancy Toad Scroll in the Iron Thorns.
And the
Toad
Klefki.
Scroll. Yeah, and the shiny Klefki, plus the alt art Dragapult and full art Iron Thorns. So some good
So I
art
know that
selections
like when
all
you
across the
submit
board.
list, most people don't know this. When you submit list, anything outside of your like Pokemon, it doesn't really matter. But I love that the player on the left went to the like extreme and like chose the different bosses they have.
2 different bosses, non-hollow and hollow or something.
Yeah, I don't even know why. Oh wait, this is probably a different language, right? One boss's orders.
No,
I don't know why
they're English. They're just one's like a promo or
One's
something.
promo and
it
one's
shows the
not
same art
hollow
because he
or
doesn't show
something.
different arts in Arcanine, but
I
maybe
don't
just a
know,
list error or something.
It's
but,
there, but it's anyways. I think sadly, our wall deck component, and I really love this deck, but I think this is like they hit out a loss.
yeah, I mean, it has an answer to all of their walls. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Yep.
I don't think there's a wall that can block this
However,
combination of attackers.
Who is this player on the right?
This is
on the
Nico.
right, on the right.
Oh, this is Vinicius.
Vinicius. Okay.
Vinicius
Vinicius,
from Brazil.
you have won the Crispin Cooking Corner segment because we have not seen a deck like this since we've started this segment. And I think that is a good time to transition to our next topic. What do you guys think?
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
that was a
possibly
lot of
top
fun.
Vinny's deck.
I really had a good time with that. Thanks for doing that again, Maddox. I hope you guys enjoyed it at home. Let us know what you think of those decks on Crispin's Corner, and if Vinny's your friend, please tag them because I want to hear from them. This deck is awesome. All right, well, let's move on. First off, we got to thank our sponsor, Nakama Anime Cafe. Maddox is showing off our beautiful jersey tonight. And we have a challenge in 2 days on January 22nd, the day you're listening to this episode. Keep listening to the episode, get in your car, fill out your deck list before you get in your car, and then drive to Nakama Anime Cafe and come and try and beat me, Maddox, and Parker at this week's League Challenge. It starts at 6:30. Entry is $10. And, of course, there will be prizing and fun. So come join us.
And Nakba has the best hits.
Nakama
Always
does
do.
have the best hits. Too bad, like, we're not, like, a real TCG shot. We get, like, Umbreon pulled from a Prismatic, you know? That card is crazy, dude. They sold for $2.
The store would be too powerful if it was a true card store.
True.
So.
All right, boys. It's trivia time.
Wow.
You guys ready?
No, I'm still looking at this list from Vinny. It's just so beautiful.
It is beautiful. I agree. Everyone forgets about the second attack on Trapgoose, honestly.
Yeah.
It's kind of good. All right, so according to Limitless, if you exclude special events, when was the last time that Palkia took down a major event? AKA a regionals or an IC?
Excluding special events.
Excluding
so that's
special
because
events.
I think it was Buenos Aires SVE that
Yes.
Palkia Dusknor, friend of the
Yes.
pod, Gem
Yeah,
Gumilla won.
yeah.
So
As well as there was the other one that Jose won with Goldango that had Palkia in it.
True.
Oh, yeah,
Well, actually, you might have tipped your hat a little bit too much there because wasn't Palkia in? Oh, Owen Cameron. Oh, actually, no, Owen didn't win. Actually, Owen Cameron won a regional with Chen Pao, but not Palkia, I think. And then Yell got second with Goldango with Palkia.
Yes, that's.
Those are both true statements, Max.
I love making true statements.
Only true
Parker, what do you remember?
Like actually won a regional or big event.
Yeah.
It's only won like 3 majors, and I only 3 or 4
gotta
majors.
It's got to be what, Perth maybe.
You mean
Or
the
which one was the one that was
Palkias?
8 Palkias?
Did it really not win anything since then? Well, what happened after Perth? Right, I guess Broken Lugia came out.
Yeah,
And then I don't think Palkia's won a major since then, right?
I feel like it hasn't.
So that would be what, Perth 2022? I guess
I think that is
2023. So it'd be a
2022.
2023 season, but I
think
think it
that
was
is
in. It would have been in like September 2022. When did Astral Ratings come out?
It was in November, so no,
no,
it was.
Silver Tempest was
it
a
was
November
a-
set. Unless Astral.
No, Astral was a spring set. It was a spring set. I remember because I pulled Machamp. I pulled the altar and it was like $30, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll sell this fucking guy for like $25 or something, and then it went to like $100 2 days later.
Hey, you got $25 out of it.
Hell yeah.
That's a win. That's a win.
I'm good to lock in Perth from 2022 if you are. I'm trying to remember of anything, but like, I mean, like after rotation, did it win anything? Like, I don't think so.
No, let's send it.
Yeah, we'll go Perth. Eric, we'll go Perth 2022.
Perth 2022. That's a touchdown. Jesus. 2022 is the correct year. However, Perth is not the regional. Also, just for tidbit's sake, the Australian regional you're thinking of, where Palkia took over, was not Perth. It was Melbourne.
Oh no.
Melbourne. Okay.
It was Melbourne.
That's the answer.
The answer is Stuttgart Regional, December 3rd, 2022, by Muteus, playing Palkia Vikavolt.
Oh my god, yeah. I'm gonna be honest that I forgot Vikavolt was even a card. I just erased from my memory.
It's funny. I kind of remember that now, only because like that was right around when I started to get like really serious about the game, gearing up for like Orlando regionals in like January 2023. So like seeing that, and I remember like going play their Melanies to go and set up Vikavolt early, or just had Palkia as a backup. And I forgot it did win that. It did win a regional right at the end of 2022. So
yes, it did. Palkia Vikavolt. Stumped them. Love it. I think it's even more funny that you guys locked in the wrong Australian regional.
I'm sorry for any Australian listeners. We knew it was one of the places.
All right.
I don't know how they remember the U.S. ones.
The
right?
U.S.
It's like,
U.S.
Milwaukee or Louisville or Knoxville or
the U.S. is just New York, California,
or like
Florida.
I mean, to be fair, Melbourne is like the place to remember.
But we also know that, I mean, we know they have regionals at Melbourne and Perth and Brisbane sometimes.
Yeah. Hopefully Brisbane this year. Speaking of, actually, I haven't checked Pokemon website in a couple of days. Have they announced any regionals?
No. Someone on Twitter would have mentioned it, but.
Oh, they've got some bots checking for us. Anyways, let's move on. We've got the San Antonio Regional Championships this week. If you're in Texas right now, I'm sorry, because it's probably snowing and it sucks. However, it will be nice when we get there this weekend. So we will see you then. But we got to have a little battle the Alamo is a very well-known place where a lot of destruction happened, and I'm sorry for any losses that ever happened. So any jokes that we make after this are irrelevant of the moment in history that was very important at the Alamo. But we are going to do a Pokemon battle at the Alamo. And we are going to first decide what 3 decks are going to protect the Alamo. And we're going to decide that by what we think the most popular decks in the room at San Antonio are going to be. Let's go ahead and move on from Drago. We know REGIDRAGO is one of those decks.
If you were in the Alamo back in the day and you're like, man, if only I had someone who could hit the active for 280 or hit 200 to the active and 60 to the bench or hit 3 different things for 110, REGIDRAGO's your guy.
Or hit 200 and protect myself.
True.
If only I could Legacy Star right now.
if you're like, if only I can get discarded weapons back to use in the battle.
If only I can get back those bullets I just used.
Basically.
Also worth noting, do any of y'all know the true history of the Alamo? Because I do not.
I do not. You're welcome to read a little excerpt. Go ahead. Tell us.
I mean, I have the Wikipedia page pulled up, but that's just so I try not to say anything too offensive. But I mean, like,
I know it has something to do with like
the Battle of the Alamo was a pivotal event in a military engagement in the Texas Revolution, following a 13-day siege. Mexican troops under the president of Mexico at the time reclaimed the Alamo mission near San Antonio. Right, the Alamo, like if you do have time to walk around San Antonio, Alamo, they do have the building there and like some nice like museums and stuff to see, like, and to explain the history. So I can go check that out if you don't make day 2 or get in early. Get your wristband on Friday. Go swing by the Alamo, get some dinner at the Riverwalk. Watch some football like Eric's doing while we're recording the podcast. All that stuff.
28-7, game's over.
Spoilers for anyone who's listening to this 2 days later.
Spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched the game by Wednesday.
Hey, I'm trying to get this out on Tuesday, bud.
Tuesday.
It's going up. Anyways, so Drago we know is going to be there, right? It's going to be the most popular deck in the room. It has been for a while. It's going to be probably the last tournament that it's the most popular, maybe. And I say maybe because something interesting happened today. REGIDRAGO won a big online tournament today in the Badoo format. Went 7-0. Didn't play against a single Badoo deck, but went 7-0.
Better lucky than good.
Anyways, I've already published my tier list on Twitter as of this time. So I'm going to abstain from the next conversation and say, what do you guys think are the next 2 most popular decks?
I gotta go with El Charizard. He's just never gonna go away. That darn lizard.
Yeah, I mean Charizard, right, remains. Again, while we mentioned earlier, Eric, I think you mentioned earlier, it loses to Drago, and like, yes, it is unfavored into Drago, but it doesn't always lose, right? I think Charizard, especially in the hands of a skilled pilot, somebody who knows the matchup well, can go and find those ways around, and if you make it past those first couple sketchy turns, I do think that Charizard does not just fall over, right? It's not like you're playing Lugia against Iron Thorns. Like, there's literally nothing I can do, right? You're still asking your REGIDRAGO opponent to do a lot. While it is maybe harder for you, if you're Charizard and you're hitting all the right stuff, it's good to go from there. Plus, we just saw one in Birmingham. Maybe you're even playing Pokestop in your Charizard list.
I was saying, if you're Irvin and you've got Thornton in hand and you hit double candy off Pokestop, GG, sign the slip.
So yeah, I definitely think Charizard's there, and I mean, while REGIDRAGO is going to be the most popular deck, it's not going to be 25% like we saw at the World Championship. It's still going to be at like 10 to 15% like we've seen before. I think Charizard's going to be right around there, honestly. I think people are not scared of REGIDRAGO, and Charizard just remains a good play.
Yeah, I think so too. So we've got the big flying dragon type Pokemon, and we got the other big flying Pokemon, a lizard, the fire lizard, Charizard.
Protecting both great defenders of the Alamo, if you ask me.
Great defenders of the Alamo. Who's third? There is a handful of decks that anyone you could argue and say, yes, that deck is third. But it's our job on this podcast to predict what is third. What do you guys think? It's tough, right? It's tough.
Yeah, this third one's tough. You'd be like, it could be Bolt. Could be Guardy. Could maybe even be our Chaladon.
Could be Goldango.
Could be.
Palkia took Noctowl.
I don't know
right?
about
Like,
Goldango.
it could
You
be
know,
anything.
Listen, for me, when we need defenders of the Alamo, we need a solid steel defense. Archulodon sneakily got fourth overall on the meta chart in Europe. I'm thinking if people in the West are ready for it, they saw it won a Champions League. Some people just, want a chance to play Dialga V-Star. Maybe just sneaks in there at number 3.
It could.
It actually could.
It definitely could. But like Raging Bolt just like kills everything, right? It just like it has like infinite damage cap, right? I just.
But where are the finishes, Eric? Where are the finishes?
I haven't got there yet, man. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying about the finishes. It's tough. It is definitely tough.
Oh,
but
highest placing in Rio, 30th.
Yeah.
Highest placing in Birmingham, 66th.
Yeah, I saw
top
that.
128.
You know exactly. You know how many of those people this weekend are applying the correct list?
Oh no.
I'm excited for you to win like with San Antonio with Togekiss and Raging Bolts. That way, like you can just shut up about this and everyone will just know. Well, obviously you played with Togekiss. Obviously it was just correct the whole time. But until then, until Eric gets that dub with Togekiss this weekend, he's just gonna be unbearable.
Listen, it's just like Archulodon, right? Like until everyone's playing it and it's on their radar and they convince themselves that it's good, then it's just not gonna have that finish, right? And like that's the same with Raging Bolt. Look at the last time a really good player picked it up and piloted it. What happened? They won the regional, right? Like the deck is very good. And I think it deserves the number 3 spot. And I think it's popularity-wise, it's going to still be there.
Definitely.
We're talking about the most popular deck in the room, not what's the best play.
Parker, what do you think?
I think Bolt will probably be like number 3-ish. Just because it's good and pretty straightforward, like I always say. It's for me, it's a toss up between Bolt and Guardy, I would say. I think that there is a world where Archulodon is third on the graphic, but I don't know if we're in that world yet.
All right.
So I think Guardy or Bolt.
Yeah, I think it's definitely coming where it's going to be there, right? I think the Drago enjoyers, if they think it's not good enough, are going to drop off of that and onto something like Archulodon.
But for now, I mean, I think a world where you defend the Alamo with, long neck dragon, with dark type dragon, and with dragon that uses Kyurem. Drago in the little mouth shoots out Kyurems or something. I don't know how Pokemon works.
Yeah, seems pretty solid. So, Parker, you're the decision maker. Pick one.
It's between what, Bolt and Archulodon?
I'm fine. That was me conceding Bolt. I'm like, Bolt probably is going to be.
Okay. All right.
So we've got Raging Bolt, Charizard, and Regidrago all defending the Alamo. Now, each of us are now instructed with the option to go attack this Alamo. And we have to get through each of those 3 decks. You can pick a team of 2 decks, and they do not battle at the same time. And it's kind of like a Elite 4 style thing where you go through each one and go through each wall and get there. Parker, I'll start with you. What 2 decks are you choosing to take on that Elite 3?
I would choose Goldango and Gardevoir.
Goldango and Gardevoir, and why would you choose those decks?
So Gardevoir historically just has a good matchup into Bolt. Drago matchup, I would say at the very, very tip top level is a little bit Drago favored. And then Zard versus Guardy is kind of whoever gets knocked out second sometimes wins the game. I guess it is a little bit different with Dusknoir stuff, but I don't know. I think Gardevoir is just always like in the hands of a good pilot. Like there's just so much you can do, and just like it just has everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's always good, but I only get to play like 3 out of 10 games when I pick it up.
So if you had to choose between one of those 2 that you would choose, like this is the one I'm playing, what you would choose, Goldango?
I think I would actually choose Goldango.
You playing Togekiss or not?
I think I would.
Yeah. Okay. What about Palkia? Palkia and Goldango or no? Too much?
I feel like you just maximize your consistency and pick one of them, and I think like to consistently like go in a Greninja is fine. But like I feel like it's easier to just set up Togekiss and flip like one heads, and that's a little bit more efficient.
Yeah. Okay. So Parker's team is Gardevoir and Goldango. Maddox, what's your team looking like?
Listen, I mean, Gardevoir, right? First one off the bench, honestly. We know the deck is good. It has a great time into some of those decks. Again, a good Gardevoir player, Gardevoirs continue to adapt and have options into Regidrago. So it can even, while it is unfavorable, it can stay close there. Plus has, known ways to deal with Charizard, but of course boasts a fantastic Raging Bolt matchup. So I think that's an important one to bring. Maybe a little bit of maybe a little bit lower, off the radar pick, but Tarapago's Noctowl saw kind of a big resurgence lately in Birmingham. I think that, you have some good lines, especially when you're going back to like the Duskar packages to really set up for some board wipes, some Briar scenarios. You need to survive disruption against Zard and Drago, but if not, I think that, you really have a good chance with Terapagos to just, really, really have an explosive start out the gate, and take a big win.
So you got Terapagos, Noctowl, and you've got Gardevoir. Both of you guys have also chosen Gardevoir. That's interesting. Maddox, if you had to choose one of those, and you can only choose one, which one would it be?
I mean, Gardevoir. When you're playing Gardevoir, you have a lot of options and you have a lot of control over like how you go about the game. I think you have a trickier time in some of the matchups, because of what your deck is and how it is. But you can build it to. I think if you want to build your deck to have a better time into Drago, you can do that. And a lot of the slow Guardies plus playing Manaphy makes it really, really tough for some of these Dragos. And again, Guardy just gives you so many options. Terapagos has that explosiveness to it. I think the Bufflon also gives a lot of tankiness to it, which I would include if I was playing Terapagos.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Guardy, it's like once you're set up, once you're there, your opponent really can't do much about it.
Yeah, I really can't. Interesting. Okay, so for my team, I'm surprised neither of you said this deck. I'm going Lugia. We're going flying high with Lugia.
Nah.
And the reason why I think Lugia is a really good choice into these three is because you got Iron Hands. If you need Iron Hands against the Evolution decks, you've got a single prize Minccino that can just hit for 400. And you've got a Weird Deer coming in cleaning up, and you got Laminion and Archeops just doing their thing every turn. And then on top of that, you've got Legacy Energy to take one less prize on your two prizers. And people are cutting Sinnoh right now. So I think if you want to, maybe take a Rogue or play, and you don't want to hate yourself, Lugia maybe is a choice. I mean, it's tough to play sometimes, but I think Rahul has shown that deck is very good, and it's been good into this meta. And I'll continue to kind of pick that deck. And my second deck, and this one is way off the wall, is Pidgeot Control. I mean, look at what Sander did. I mean, look what Sander did. Sander got top 16. He lost his winning in. Your Drago matchup, yes, it can be sus a little bit, but you're beating the other two pretty easily for the most part. And you can take your chances against Drago, and sometimes you just win because you play the Black Kyurem and you kind of paralyze them and it sticks, and you're good from there. And I saw they were playing was it the picnic basket, or there was something to make
picnic basket to add some healing.
Yeah, to add some healing
for your opponent too.
Yeah, exactly. So it was to help the Kyurem stick for another turn.
Yeah.
Also can heal Driftlooms. So.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I think Pidgeot Control, in the hands of a really good player, is always a strong play into this meta, and especially into these top three.
That's true, actually. There's one I'm surprised none of us said that I almost said. That was actually just Palkia Terapagos.
Yeah.
Which just had this huge weekend. I don't know how the bold matchup goes. It seems terrible. Probably. Maybe
They
not
can go
Yeah, it
tear.
seems
single.
kind of
Well,
tough.
they can go
You
single.
can go single prize board and then attack with Terrapagos
Yeah.
and bench your Palkias the next turn.
Right.
Like
Right.
with
But,
charms, like it's still kind of tricky.
Yeah.
And also, like, you don't have a great time in the Charizard. That's why I wasn't a huge fan
Yeah.
of like Palkia, Noctowl.
Yeah. It's the
I mean, like,
Charizard
you can
matchup
be
for me.
Charizard, like, if you go run them off the board. But even then, like, they can still try to come back. And, like, you know, when you don't have on-board draw, it's just, like, tough. That's kind of the same thing why, like, I had to pick Guardy or Terrapagos. Like, I'm going Guardy because at least Guardy, you have some built-in draw. For
Right.
Terrapagos, you're very much like, did I get Ionoed into a Noctowl? If yes, I'm okay. If no, I lose.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, those are kind of like our thoughts, and let us know below which team you think is gonna win. Eric, Maddox, or Parker, and maybe your comment next week will be picked to read on the podcast. Thanks for your support. Press the like, subscribe while you're there. Maddox, Parker, you guys got anything to add for San Antonio meta discussions?
None other than the old play what you're comfortable with,
Yep.
draw well,
Draw well.
and you will do pretty well.
Yeah.
The meta is wide open as always. I think you could sleeve up 11 different things, maybe even more, and make a deep run. So I mean, just play what you're comfortable with. Don't listen to your friend who's gonna say, "Oh, you have to play this."
Yo, I got the spice. I got the secret wall deck from Fini in Brazil.
I got the secret wall deck. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, really just to echo what Parker said, right? You know, good luck to everyone going to San Antonio. If you see us there, please come and say hi. We'd love to chat with y'all and talk about Pokemon, talk about the podcast, talk about whatever you like. And at the same time, like if you're listening to this, you know, there's nothing groundbreaking. There's no new thing to be ready for. I think be ready for some of these new lists that popped up. If your opponent flips over Palkia, you should know generally what like Palkia Noctowl looks like or what Terrapagos Noctowl looks like. But other than that, like whatever deck you've been playing, whatever that you like, I would just get all the reps you can with it before the tournament. You know, Friday night, get to sleep early, and San Antonio Saturday morning, just wake up, show up, and have some fun.
Yep, I agree with everything that was said. Nothing else to add there. So I think we can put a wrap on this episode of the Beach Crop Podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you press the like, comment, subscribe below. It really helps out the podcast a lot if you subscribe on YouTube. For those of you listening on Spotify, we appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the audio benefits that we have enhanced this year. We've gotten some good feedback so far, so we'll continue to keep going down that path. Anyways, that's going to do it for us this time. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.